Remember, a couple weeks ago, I was talking about how racism is it's a con. It's a shell game. It is. It's a moral con. It really is. And those that's in power, that have power and mega dollars, use racism. It's like catnip. It is. To pit, poor and working class black people against, poor and working class white people or Hispanics and, and Asians, Native Americans. And I say it because I've had this conversation with whites, had debates and discussions, and I said, listen, but you need to understand that very, very wealthy white people really don't care. Don't give a damn about poor white people or poor black people or poor any people. And you could throw some black people and Hispanic people in that category too. They really don't care. So you get caught up in the distraction and confusion and catnip of racism. If you are a poor working class white person, you have way more in common with a poor working class black person or Hispanic than you do with a very wealthy white person. Okay? They just really don't care about you or me. Now, to prove my point is Exhibit A, Mr. 1%, a.k.a. the Plastic Man, Mitt Romney, and you'll hear him try to finesse this, who says that he doesn't care about the very poor. Now, he tries to clean it up, but listen to what he said initially without being asked. He was on CNN this morning, and listen to what he says and how he says it. Like I said, when people show you and tell you who they are, believe them, and believe them the first time you hear it. Okay? So let's take a listen.
I'm in this race because I care about Americans. I'm not concerned about the very poor. We have a safety net there. If it needs a repair, I'll fix it. I'm not concerned about the very rich. They're doing just fine. I'm concerned about the very heart of America, the 95% of Americans who right now are struggling, and I'll continue to take that message across the nation.
All right, I know I said last question, but I got to ask you. You just said, I'm not concerned about the very poor because they have a safety net. And I think there are lots of very poor Americans who are struggling who would say, that sounds odd. Can you explain that?
Well, you had to finish the sentence, Soledad. I said, I'm not concerned about the very poor that have a safety net, but if it has holes in it, I will repair them.
Got it. Okay.
The challenge right now, we will hear from the Democrat Party the plight of the poor. And there's no question, it's not good being poor, and we have a safety net to help those that are very poor. But my campaign is focused on middle-income Americans. My campaign, you can choose where to focus. You can focus on the rich. That's not my focus. You can focus on the very poor. That's not my focus. My focus is on middle-income Americans, retirees living on Social Security, people who can't find work, folks that have kids that are getting ready to go to college. These are the people who've been most badly hurt during the Obama years. We have a very ample safety net, and we can talk about whether it needs to be strengthened or whether there are holes in it, but we have food stamps, we have Medicaid, we have housing vouchers, we have programs to help the poor. But the middle-income Americans, they're the folks that are really struggling right now. And there's no question, it's not good being poor, and we have a safety net to help those that are very poor. But my campaign is a safety net, but if it has holes in it.
Explain that?
Well, you had to finish the sentence, Soledad. I said, I'm not concerned about the very poor that have a safety net, but if it has holes in it, I will repair them.
Got it.
All right. Just thought I'd rewind that a couple times so you could hear for yourself. I don't need to say anything else. But when people show you and tell you who they really are, what's really in their heart, what they really believe, how they really feel about you, when you really catch that honest moment before they clean it up or try to be politically, no pun intended, correct. When people show you who they really are and how they really feel, don't get mad. As a matter of fact, be glad and thank them for revealing themselves and being honest. And believe him. I believe this man. Now, what I don't believe, if he doesn't care about the very poor, really, you care about the middle class, the seniors? Well, many of them middle-class seniors are poor, struggling. People who can't find work. Middle-class people who, guess what? I hate to let you know this, Mr. 1%. Middle-class people who can't find work, guess what they are at that moment, at this moment? They're poor. Okay? So you really don't care about those middle-class people who can't find work or those seniors. You would call middle class, probably consider themselves poor with trying to pay for their medicine and everything else. So thank you, Mitt. Believe when people show you and tell you who they are. Believe them. And believe them the first time they show you and tell you who they are. Let's take a look at traffic, AJ. How's that ride?
From the Max Traffic Center, still dealing with problems in West Ashley. Overturned 18-wheeler on 526 in the area of Ashley River Road. That's causing heavy delays. 526 westbound back past Dorchester Road heading towards West Ashley. And eastbound traffic inbound towards North Charleston.